The US president has expressed optimism about reaching a ceasefire deal in Gaza. But one of the main mediators, Qatar, says that lots of details remain unresolved as these talks continue in Egypt. Joining us now is our Global Affairs editor, Laura Tingle. Laura, this is being described as a critical stage of the talks. What do we know?
Well, Gemma, one of the factors that's interesting about this, despite Donald Trump's optimism, is that the Hamas demands, in a lot of ways, are sort of opening up and becoming more clear as the days go past. Now, the most recent one that has emerged this morning from a Hamas spokesman speaking to the Al Jazeera network is that they want the full withdrawal of Israeli troops and forces from Gaza. Now, this is regarded as this was always a likely demand. The proposal put forward under the Trump plan is that Israel withdraws about halfway across Gaza, and so that's a big stumbling block to emerge. Also, we've learnt that we're at the stage where the negotiations are over who's on the list of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel to be released, including some senior Hamas figures. So, you know, these are the sorts of things which are going to be really big stumbling blocks for both sides to tackle.
And that optimism you mentioned there from Donald Trump, what is he saying?
Well, he's just saying we hope that there's going to be a deal soon. Well, don't we all? But I can't see that his optimism, which is, you know, is a sort of generic statement, is actually based on what we're hearing from the talks. At the risk of being a negative Nancy, I mean, it's really complicated. Both sides, you know, are very reluctant to give ground on these really basic things. And there are practical aspects of this too, Gemma. I mean, if the IDF doesn't withdraw significantly, it's very hard for the bodies of the dead to be found because, you know, they're scattered all over Gaza. I mean, it's horrible but practical details. And of course, Israel has not really been helping the cause of goodwill because it has continued to completely bombard Gaza since this announcement was made Friday, their time, and a lot more Palestinians are being killed. So that's despite Donald Trump demanding that Israel stop bombing Gaza immediately.
We know that events are being held and have been held around the world to mark 2 years since the attack on Israel and the start of the war in Gaza. Where is the mood at in Gaza, Israel and around the world for change?
Look, I think in Gaza, in Israel and around the world, everybody just wants this to be stop. They want the war to stop. They want the killing to stop. But that's sort of the populist moves. And, you know, there's a great war weariness in Israel and a lot of anger about the way the government has prosecuted this war in Israel. And, of course, the people in Gaza are just continuing to suffer terribly under it. But you've still got these really intransigent forces, which is Benjamin Netanyahu and his far-right colleagues in his government on the one side, really wanting to, you'd have to sort of think, keep control over Gaza even after they get the hostages back. And Hamas, knowing that as soon as they give those hostages back, they're likely to lose any negotiating power that they've got. So, you know, it's a sort of a sombre day when everybody remembers this horrific attack on October 7 2 years ago. But you know, it's sort of overcome and sort of entrenched in this war weariness and horror of what's happened ever since.
And how would you describe Israel's standing in the global community at this time?
I think you'd have to say an expression that was being used around the UN when I was there a couple of weeks ago was really that Israel's turned from being seen as the besieged state, you know, over decades, to being the besieger. You know, the fact that it attacked 7 of its sort of surrounding countries in a week at the same time as it attacked, or as, you know, when it attacked Doha, you know, it's now, even in the region, it's now seen as very much the pariah state, as the as the aggressor, as the threatening force for stability. This is an extraordinary turnaround from just a couple of years ago, and it's going to be exceptionally hard for Israel to rebuild those links with the rest of the world.